Have you ever experienced a moment of perfect silence? I am not speaking of the mere absence of noise. True silence is a different quality altogether, a silence that seems to rise from within your very being. It is a moment where the constant narration of your own mind simply stops. The endless lists of tasks, the regrets of yesterday, the anxieties for tomorrow, all of these mental constructs fade into nothingness. You find yourself suspended in a timeless present, fully aware of your own breath and the simple fact of your existence. Most of us dismiss these fleeting experiences as moments of distraction or mental fatigue. We quickly re-engage with the world of problems and practicalities, believing that is where reality truly resides. But what if you have been interpreting these moments entirely incorrectly? What if that sudden profound quiet was not a failure of attention but a profound success? What if you were not tuning out from the world but finally tuning in to a deeper frequency? The universe is not a cold, silent vacuum. It is a constant, vibrant broadcast of information and energy. It has been calling out to you for your entire life, using a language that precedes words. You have heard its voice in the graceful arc of a bird in flight, in the intricate pattern of a spider's web, and in the awe that strikes you when you look into the infinite depth of a starry sky. You have felt its pull in the quiet longing that surfaces when you wonder if there is more to life than what you have been shown. This feeling is a signal, a subtle whisper cutting through the overwhelming static of a life lived on the surface. We are collectively taught to ignore this whisper. From a very young age, we are educated to believe that reality is composed solely of separate, solid objects. You are taught that you are an individual consciousness, a ghost in a machine, peering out from behind your eyes at a world that is fundamentally separate from you. This belief in separation is the grand illusion, the primary veil that obscures true reality from your view. This illusion of separation is a highly useful construct for navigating certain aspects of daily life. It helps you cross the street safely, it helps you build a career, and it helps you define what you believe is yours. But its utility does not make it true. Deep within yourself, in a place beyond rational thought, you know that this separation is an incomplete story. In those moments of perfect silence, the barrier between the observer and the observed begins to dissolve. The sense of a solid self inside looking out at an external world becomes transparent and porous. This experience hints at a fundamental unity that your ordinary consciousness filters out. What you are about to experience is not a traditional lecture filled with abstract theories. This is an invitation to a different way of perceiving. This is a guided exploration of the transparency you have already felt. We must begin this journey by examining the very walls of the prison you take for granted. We will investigate the architecture of your own perception. You cannot hope to escape a maze if you refuse to believe you are inside one. The first step toward freedom is a clear-eyed acknowledgement of your confinement. The universe has issued its call to you in 1,000 subtle ways. The echo of that call is what brought you here, now to this moment. The responsibility for what happens next rests entirely with you. The only question that matters is the one you must answer with your full attention. Will you listen? You have chosen to listen. That decision alone is a seismic event in the landscape of your life, though it feels as quiet as a falling feather. To listen is to make yourself vulnerable to a truth that may dismantle the world you have so carefully built. This courage is the first and most essential tool for this journey. Now, we must turn our attention to the nature of the signal itself. We must ask the seemingly simple question that has haunted philosophers and mystics for millennia. What is this universe that is calling? Your education has likely given you a picture of a vast, mostly empty cosmos, a cold machine of planets and stars governed by impersonal laws. That picture is not wrong, but it is tragically incomplete. It is like describing a symphony by listing the physics of sound waves, entirely missing the music. The universe you perceive is not a pre-existing static collection of objects waiting for you to come along and observe them. This is the most persistent and convincing part of the illusion. The reality is far stranger and far more intimate. You are not a passive spectator in a giant theater. You are an active participant in the very creation of the spectacle. Your consciousness is not a flashlight illuminating independent objects in a dark room. Your consciousness is more like the projector that brings the entire film into being. The world you see, hear, and touch is a brilliant, dynamic, and utterly convincing construction of your mind. This is not a metaphor. This is the fundamental mechanics of perception. Your brain receives a chaotic storm of raw data, a meaningless barrage of electromagnetic waves, pressure vibrations, and chemical signatures. It then performs a miracle of computation, weaving this chaos into a coherent three-dimensional, colored and sounding world. It creates space, it creates time, it creates the solidity of the chair you are sitting on. It does this so seamlessly, so instantly, that you never notice the magic. You mistake the finished movie for reality itself. The philosopher Immanuel Kant called this the distinction between the phenomenal world, the world as it appears to you, and the noumenal world, the world as it is in itself. He argued, with devastating logic, that the noumenal world, the true reality, is forever and necessarily beyond your grasp. You are trapped in a reality tunnel, wearing a pair of conceptual glasses that you can never remove. You only ever experience your own perception. The call of the universe, then, is not a sound traveling through space. It is the subtle feeling of the thing in itself pressing against the boundaries of your perception. It is the haunting suspicion that your magnificent personalized movie is based on something real, something vast and mysterious that lies just beyond the screen. The whisper you hear is the static of the raw, unprocessed universe leaking through the filters of your mind. This understanding is not a reason for despair, as if you were condemned to solitary confinement. It is the key to your liberation, for if you are the projector, then you have a relationship with the source of the film. The separation you feel is not between you and a world out there. The separation is between your conscious awareness and the unconscious, automatic processes of your own mind. The universe is not calling from across a vast distance. It is calling from within the very machinery you use to perceive anything at all. The awe you feel under the stars is not you, a small being looking up at immense external objects. It is the universe, in the form of you, looking back upon itself in wonder. The love you feel for another person is not two separate entities making a connection. It is the universe recognizing its own essence through the apparent veil of another. The silence you experienced, the silence we began with, is the sound of the projector humming. A brief pause in the movie where you can almost perceive the light source itself. To listen to the universe is to learn the art of perceiving the projector while the movie is still playing. It is to sense the boundless reality that is generating the breathtaking, convincing, and ultimately illusory world of separate things. This art requires a new way of seeing, a new way of knowing. It requires you to doubt everything you have ever assumed about your own existence. It requires you to become a scientist of your own consciousness, observing the observer with relentless curiosity. The call is an invitation to participate consciously in the greatest mystery of all, the mystery of being itself. You have taken the first step by choosing to listen. The next step is to learn the language in which the call is spoken. The most ancient and persistent error is to believe that the universe speaks in a human language. We search for words carved in stone, for mathematical equations etched into the fabric of space, for a voice that sounds like our own echoing from the heavens. But the universe is not a person, and its call is not a sentence. Its language is older than words, more fundamental than mathematics. Its vocabulary is composed of the raw phenomena of existence itself. A sunrise is not a symbol of hope. It is a direct statement of cosmic rhythm. The gravitational pull between two bodies is not a metaphor for attraction. It is a literal expression of a fundamental law of relationship. To learn this language, you must unlearn your reliance on translation. You must learn to perceive without immediately interpreting. You must allow a tree to be nothing more than a tree, in its absolute and utter treeness. without layering upon it your memories of trees, your concepts of beauty, or your practical thoughts of its utility as lumber. This is the practice of pure perception, and it is the first lesson in understanding the signal. The second lesson is to recognize that this language is not spoken to you but through you. The thoughts that arise in your mind, the emotions that surge through your body, the sensations that play upon your skin, these are not interruptions to the signal, they are the signal. Your very consciousness is the medium through which the universe expresses a tiny, unique fragment of its infinite potential. The anger you feel is not a personal failing, it is a cosmic weather pattern moving through the atmosphere of your being. The joy that lifts you is a fundamental energy expressing itself as your smile. Your individual life is not a separate story, it is a single, intricate sentence in the universe's ongoing autobiography. This is why the question of free will is ultimately a misleading one. You are not a tiny captain struggling to steer a ship on a vast, predetermined ocean. You are the ocean, and the ship, and the captain, all at once. The choices you make are the universe choosing, through the localized point of awareness that you call ear. The feeling of agency is the universe experiencing itself as an agent. The feeling of constraint is the universe experiencing its own laws. There is no conflict between destiny and free will when you understand that you are the source of both. To listen, then, is to cultivate a profound intimacy with your own experience, to stop judging the content of your consciousness as good or bad, and to start witnessing it with awe, as you would witness the eruption of a volcano or the orbit of a moon. This does not mean passivity. It means understanding that your actions are the universe acting, and therefore they carry a sacred weight. Your kindness is the universe healing itself. Your cruelty is the universe inflicting a wound upon itself. The boundary between your inner world and the outer world is the final and most stubborn illusion to dissolve. The universe calling out to you is, in a literal and non-metaphorical sense, you calling out to yourself from the depths of your own being. The listener and the caller are one. The search and the thing sought are identical. The silence you sought at the beginning was not an escape from the noise of the world. It was the sound of your own true nature, which is the same as the nature of everything that is. The journey you are on has no external destination. It is a journey of homecoming, a return to a truth you have never actually left. The only thing required is a shift in recognition, a metanoia, a turning of the mind that allows you to see what has always been here. The universe has called out. You have chosen to listen. Now, you must learn to understand the message not as an external instruction but as the very core of your identity. The answer to the call is not a thing you do, it is a thing you become. Becoming the answer is the final and most silent stage of this journey, and it is the point where language begins to fail. We have navigated the illusion of separation, understood the self as the projector of reality, and learned to hear the universe speaking through the medium of our own being. Now we arrive at the precipice of action, only to find that the very concept of action has been transformed. You are not being called to do something new, but to perceive everything you already do with a new quality of attention. The transformation is not in the content of your life, but in the context you bring to it. Washing a dish can be a mechanical chore, a race to finish, or it can be a sacred act, a full sensory engagement with the warmth of water, the slickness of soap, the curve of the porcelain. In that engaged state, there is no you washing a dish, there is only the washing, a unified event occurring within the universe. The separate self, the anxious narrator, recedes into the background, and what is left is a pure, flowing awareness. This is not a special state reserved for mystics on mountaintops. This is a potentiality available in every single moment, from the most mundane to the most profound. When you act from this understanding, you are not a separate individual being loving, you are love in action. The universe, through you, is caring for itself. This is how you become the answer. You stop trying to solve the cosmic puzzle from the outside and realize you are one of its essential pieces. Your unique perspective, your particular joys and sorrows, are not mistakes to be transcended. They are the specific frequency through which the whole is expressing itself. Your responsibility is not to erase yourself, but to become truly, fully, transparently yourself, so that the infinite light of the source can shine through your unique and irreplaceable lens. The journey ends where it began, but everything has changed. The silence is the same silence, but now you know it is not empty. It is full. The world is the same world, but now you perceive it not as a collection of objects, but as a single, breathing, interconnected event of which you are an inseparable part. The universe called out, and you listened. You understood the language, and now you are the response. There is no longer a question, because you have become the living answer. The dialogue is over, because there is only one voice speaking. Your life, from this moment forward, is that voice.